Welcome to Math Made Easy. You know, history is packed with strange patterns and connections you never expect. But today, we're diving into a story about a coincidence that is just truly remarkable. It's a thread that ties together over 300 years of mathematical genius, and it's all been hiding in plain sight on a single day of the year.
So, let's start with a puzzle. What could possibly connect these three people? I mean, they're from completely different centuries, totally different walks of life. It really does sound like the setup to a riddle, right? Well, the answer is way more interesting.
That's it. They were all brilliant mathematicians. But the real kicker? They were all born on the exact same day, March 18th. It's not just a shared passion, it's a shared birthday that connects them, and four others, into this kind of secret club of mathematical minds.
So let's really dig into this incredible mathematical coincidence. We're going to meet all 7 individuals who make up this unique group and see just how their stories stretch across centuries of history. Just take a look at this timeline. It all kicks off with Jacques de Billy, way back in 1602, right in the middle of the scientific revolution. And it goes all the way to Gheorghe in 1907, well into the modern age. That is a span of 305 years. It's this unbelievable thread that just runs right through the history of mathematics.
All right, so let's start by grouping a couple of them together based on their passion. First up, we've got 2 absolute masters of geometry, born on the same day, but nearly 160 years apart. Let's meet the Geometers.
Philippe de la Hire's path into math was, well, pretty unusual. He actually started out as a painter. But while he was in Venice studying the geometry of artistic perspective, he just fell in love with the subject. This new passion led him to write a huge work on conic sections and even use his skills for a massive national project, creating accurate maps of France. He literally went from art to cartography, all because of geometry.
Now, Jakob Steiner's journey could not have been more different. He was born to a farming family and couldn't even read or write until he was a teenager. And yet, he became one of the greatest geometers of the entire 19th century. He was a total purist, this powerful, visual thinker who was convinced that geometry was the highest, purest form of math. This quote right here, it gets right to the heart of how he saw the world. To Steiner, algebra and calculation were just crutches. The real intellectual heavy lifting, the real beauty, came from pure geometric reasoning, from seeing the shapes and their relationships directly in your mind.
So here's the key takeaway. You've got 2 brilliant geometers, both born on March 18th. One, de la Hire, came from the art world and applied his work in a really practical way. The other, Steiner, came from a farm and championed pure thought over calculation, focusing on these abstract ideas. 2 completely different minds approaching the same field from totally different angles.
Okay, next up, let's meet a pair who are obsessed with the most fundamental building blocks of math, the numbers themselves. Let's talk about the number theorists. So, Jacques de Billy is the very first member of our March 18th club. He was a Jesuit priest and a teacher, but also a serious mathematician who was corresponding with one of the absolute giants of number theory, the legendary Pierre de Fermat. Actually, de Billy's work was super important because he carefully collected Fermat's methods, which helped preserve them for generations to come.
And then we have Christian Goldbach, born in 1690. He is famous for this one problem he posed in the letter to the great Leonhard Euler back in 1742. It's called Goldbach's Conjecture, and it's so simple you can explain it to anybody. Just that every even number bigger than 2 is the sum of 2 primes. But even though it's so simple to state, it is still one of the most famous unsolved problems in all of mathematics.
And just to give you a sense of how deep this puzzle really is, mathematicians have used supercomputers to check Goldbach's conjecture for numbers all the way up to 400 trillion. That's a 4 with 14 zeros after it, and it has held true for every single one. But still, after almost 300 years, no one has been able to prove it's true for all of them. Crazy, right?
All right, our next 2 stories are maybe the most human of the bunch. They're not just about theorems or conjectures. They're really about brilliance in the face of huge personal and societal challenges. These are the pioneers and the Pathbreakers.
So meet Agnes Baxter. Her achievements in school were just historic. I mean, she was a true trailblazer, smashing barriers for women in math at a time when they were barely allowed in the conversation. She was an incredible student and went on to get her PhD from Cornell. But after she got married, she made the really tough decision to put her own incredible career on hold to support her husband's.
These are her husband's words written after she died way too young, at age 46.
It's just such a powerful and, well, heartbreaking acknowledgement of her sacrifice. It's a real window into the kinds of constraints put on brilliant women back then, a powerful reminder of the incredible talent that history can sometimes forget. And the story of Joseph-Émile Barbier, wow, it's just a story of breathtaking genius and deep tragedy. As a young man, he was so brilliant that his classmates were just in awe of him. He had a great start as an astronomer, but then his mental health started to decline, and he basically just vanished. He was found 15 years later in an asylum. But here's the amazing part. His mathematical mind was still incredibly sharp. A colleague encouraged him to start writing again, and he ended up producing a whole stream of original, important papers right from inside the asylum walls.
So we've met geometers, number theorists, and these incredible pathbreakers. Let's try to bring it all together now and think about their shared, even if it was accidental, legacy.
So the final member of our club is Gheorghe, a 20th century Romanian algebraist. He was a really foundational figure in developing modern math in his country, which just goes to show that this strange March 18th connection continued well into the modern era.
And here they are, all of them, together. 7 people, born on the same day across 4 different centuries, who dedicated their lives to totally different fields, from number theory and geometry to algebra and astronomy. Their life stories are this incredible mix of triumph, tragedy, fame, and, in some cases, almost being forgotten.
Which really brings us to the final question. Is this all just some meaningless quirk of the calendar? You know, a simple statistical blip? Or could it maybe hint that history has its own strange rhythms, its own kind of hidden poetry, that we only get to see in coincidences as remarkable as the mathematicians of March 18th? It's definitely something to think about. Please like, subscribe, Math Made Easy channel.